talk to an actual, like, the professor, whoever's the best dude at history at your local college, even they'll say, like, we're limited. And a lot of our beliefs in history are founded more on political assertions to hold up ideals and ideas of a history that we share just for, like, political control than they are on, like, the reality of things. You know what I'm saying? And when you get into America, you get down to the zip code different views of history, depending on, like, what school you go to and how your dad talks about whatever the fuck happened a few years back. God, dude, I'm too tired for this. I'm too tired for this.
I like the most. So Carol Quigley is one of the best.
Oh my
pulled them off my
God.
shelf too. So I'll be back in a second, guys.
Did he say he dropped out of
Just give me a
university?
second.
Probably.
Amory Durancourt is great. Peter Turchin's great. I think I got a Spengler around here somewhere.
Oh, fuck. I'm dying.
Please humor my absence for a moment, people.
Thank you so much, Spudley, for the 5 gifted subs, man.
I'll still bring it over. And
the posture of an alternate historian.
Yeah, so I think we were on the breakthrough of a philosophic discovery on how the science of history operates. And
his mic is on auto.
Carol Quigley,
he's a book.
Great. I don't like him as much.
He's a Voshian. He said he's a Voshian book whale. Who the fuck said that? He said he's a fucking book whale.
As other offers, because I find this book to be written in a very autistic and overly rigid way. I think he's pulling information from the ancient world that I have no idea.
Please like the stream if you haven't liked
but
it.
This book is good. Oswald Spengler is one of the worst writers I've ever read. And
let's see, Oswald Spengler. Oh, he died in 1936 in Munich, Germany. That's, I think, not quite old age. No, he was 60 something. Oh no. Arnold Gottfried Spengler was a German polymath whose areas of interest included history, philosophy, mathematics, science, and art. Best known for his 2-volume work, The Decline of the West, Der Untergang des Abendlandes, published in 18 and 1922, covering human history. Cultures and civilizations are akin to biological entities, each with a limited, predictable, and deterministic lifespan. Oh my God, this guy invented Poland ball. This guy invented country balls years before. Spengler entered politics in an effort to bring Reichswehr General Hans von Seeckt to power as the country's leader in 1924. The attempt failed, and Spengler proved ineffective in practical politics. Spenglerism spurted from the pens of countless disciples. It was imperative to read Spengler or to sympathize or revolt. It still remains so. In 1931, he published Man and Technics, which warned against the dangers of technology and industrialism to culture. He especially pointed to the tendency of Western technology to spread hostile colored races, which would then use the weapons against the West. It was poorly received because of its anti-industrialism. This book contains the well-known Spengler quote, "Optimism is cowardness." Despite voting for Hitler over Hindenburg in 1939, Spengler found the Führer vulgar. He met Hitler in 1933 and after a lengthy discussion remained unimpressed, saying that Germany did not need a heroic tenor, one of several conventional tenor classifications, but a real hero. He rejected offers from Joseph Goebbels to give public speeches. He did become a member of the German Academy. He died of a heart attack in 1936 in Munich at the age of 55. The only person dying of natural causes in Germany at the time. Damn. Introduction to The Decline of the West, Spengler cites Johann V. von Goethe and Goethe and Friedrich Nietzsche as his major influence. Goethe's vitalism and Nietzsche's cultural criticism in particular are highlighted in his works. This dude's just a fucking Nietzsche fan. This guy would just be a poll poster. No, he wouldn't be on poll. This guy would just be on lit. He would be on lit and he would be upset about Nazis.
And he's got a lot of fascinating ideas, but I wish his editor just forced him to.
Oswald Spengler is a very known far-right historian. Oh man, I got a personliche Videospiel OST. Hold on, persönliche. I'm saying it in fucking Southern German, sounding like that. Persönliche Videospiel OST playlist. Oswald Spengler is a very known far-right historian. You get warned about him in the first 3 semesters of history. Spengler thinks Rome fell because of multiculturalism. Wondrous. Who's recommending such books to my man?
Better. And Amaury de Réaucourt. A lot of you would know that Amaury de Réaucourt is one of my favorite writers.
The Coming Caesars. Is that actually Bill Clinton right there? It looks like Bill Clinton, but it's probably not. No, because it's got black hair. There's no way. Coming Caesars. Oh, God, I spelled that wrong. Amaury de Réaucourt, originally published 1957. The Prospect by Amaury de Réaucourt, release date May 23rd, 1957. The Prospect Réaucourt conjures up as a black one, with America paralleling in all essentials the fate that overcame the republicanism of Rome. Oh, okay, so this is the shit I've been hearing since I was in fucking high school. Bread and circus. Bread and circus. Did you know that the bread and circus destroyed Rome? Mismanagement had nothing to do with it. The Visigoths weren't even suggesting a visit. It was the bread and circus which destroyed Rome. The need for centralized authority, for Caesarianism, is a result of both the vast world power of this country. I mean, Rome. We sort of overestimate Rome, I believe, in the West. It was big, but Rome was not that big. Kind of. I mean, it was large, but it was just mostly the size it was because it had access to it was all around the one body of water that was like, it was next to, you know what I mean? Like, when you're talking about expansive fucking empires, Persia clears, like, right? I could be wrong, but wasn't fucking Persia at its height way fucking bigger? Like, the reason we have carpets everywhere is because of fucking Persia. Like, they're like fucking weaving and shit. Like modern versions of that were because of Persia, like moving shit around. Am I crazy? I could be off. I could be off on that. Don't quote me on that one. But Persia was massive. Han China specifically, I think it was massive, huge. And as far as developed, like so many other countries, developed, massive. The Incans, like, they just didn't directly influence Western culture because we fucking annihilated them before we learned anything about them. Actually, I guess the Aztecs did. I'm always fucked on Mesoamerica. They were huge. Like, the Incan culture was fucking everywhere. Like, all over the place, jogging around, delivering mail. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many, like, supersized cultures. It is so bizarre that we always go back to Rome. Mostly because Britons, like the British specifically, and to a lesser extent, the rest of Europe are always hyper fucking Rome obsessed because of Catholicism, really, in my mind. But especially Britain, for some reason, has like a cultural, like, we are the new Rome. Y'all fucking love it. Like, dude, nothing will get a British person more fucking excited than if they live within, like, look at that distance of a Roman bridge. Oh, they thought Romans built that. That's right. They built that, right? Oh, they fucking built that. They built that wall. It's not tall, but it stopped the horses, didn't it? You know what I mean? All the way up there. It's like the one thing they're fucking stoked about. Oh, thank God they fucking beat us into submission. All of like the Western pollution of the world is from this like Rome worship and this ongoing belief that goes back really like fucking all the way to the second Rome fell and probably even further back while Rome was falling, that like you need to have some sort of like advanced empire submitting, like people had like just conquering everyone around them and forcing them to submit to their superiority. Otherwise, like there will be no culture or safety. And that's the only way forward. And just like that mentality created the age of sail, you know, or at least justified it. Qing was the biggest Chinese empire. Fair. To be fair, if Rome never existed, we never get England. I mean, there you go. The entire history of Europe is kings and dictators trying to build Rome #2. Yeah, trying to build Rome #2, if not like retake Rome #1 by not even going to Italy, by going to Byzantium, fucking Holy Land. There are at least 10 different political groups in Europe trying to bring back the Roman Empire, and none of them actually know anything about it. It's pronounced Qing. Oh, fuck. But Rome lasted longer than most large empires. The like longevity of Rome is kind of overstated too, because like there's a lot of Rome in Rome. You know what I mean? Rome gets to be Rome. That's the thing, is the Roman Empire gets to be Rome. And even though it's split, even when it's busted, even when it's not the Rome that really was Rome anymore, when you leave democracy and the republic behind and become an empire and all of that stuff, like it still gets to be Rome. When it's being run out of different cities, when it's split in half, when it's a completely different religion, when it's a completely different culture, when no one that lives in Rome at the time would understand the people of Rome 500 years earlier, it still gets to be Rome because of this like Western belief in Rome. But like every other culture is like, oh no, sorry, this is Persia. This is Xerxes' Persia. It's not Darius's Persia. This is not like the same empire. It's not. These are multiple different empires, right? They didn't last that long. Like China. If you ask China as a country considers itself the same China as fucking 4,000 years ago. I think it might be 3,000 years ago. China, on China's version of it, is still China. China, as far as they're concerned, is a dragon that sleeps, slumbers, and rises again and again. China never fell. If you ask outside of the West, the Chinese specifically will tell you, no, we're the longest lasting because we're still China. Even if you want to break it up and stuff, like, and that's just their national identity. They'll just tell you that, no, we're China. You know what I mean? Different parts of the world. It's a very Western centric thing to say like Rome. But then like you ask other places and you ask like a random fucking somewhere in the Balkans and they'll be, what's the oldest civilization in the world? And they'll be like, it's the fucking like kingdom of Vlad Tepes the Third. You know, Vlad Tepes' version of Wallachia just still lives. Like I don't know why people don't talk about Wallachia like it's not still here. You want to know the longest living empire? Ethiopia, the world's oldest empire. Is it really? That's awesome. Roman beat us into submission, laughs in Scottish. We literally didn't mind silver because they were paying so much tribute in torques. They were like, but when do you consider Rome to have fallen? I consider Rome to have fallen when fucking Caesar crossed the Rubicon. Honestly. Like those are two completely different Romes. Like there is Caesar's Rome and there is the Rome before Caesar. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why we even talk about it. It's a tragedy. Like Caesar becoming like taking the dictatorship and basically neutering and annihilating the fucking republic is the death of Rome. It really is. Like it's a different place. You call it the same thing, but it's run different. It goes on a completely different tangent of how it's going to exist from then on, and like a series of different places. You know what I mean? With Persia, it's because there was not a direct continuity between the Achaemenid dynasty and the later Arsacid, Sassanid dynasties. The dragon that is China rises with the sun. Hearing Chinese like translation of Chinese like talking points about China, that place sounds so fucking cool. I'm good on visiting. I feel like I would say something like accident, and they would put me in like an undersized prison cell. Like they're like, this is for normal people size here, but you're all fucking German coded, so like our bad. And I'm like, come on, man. You guys got like a slightly larger cell? And like, no, you need to be a political prisoner of some value to get the nice one. Still gonna be nicer than any cell in fucking Kentucky. See, look, you start opening it up. You start opening it up and asking people about like their view of history as opposed to this strictly westernized view of fucking history. And they'll go, I'm just talking shit. It's elections in Romania this year, and Vlad Tepe's face is all over the place. So yeah, Wallachia still lives. It wasn't Vlad Tepe's 3, okay? Romania is older than that. It's from the time of the Dacians, the strongest of the Thracians. Like, I don't know what that means. History is very complicated. You know what I'm saying? The official end of the Ethiopian Empire was in 1974 after a coup. Old Frankish became Old Dutch. Look, ask people. Ask people. All you have to do is start asking people. That's the craziest part. That's the one thing I know about history is that no one actually knows that much about history. You just re-arrive at the same thing again. If you talk to an actual like whoever's the best dude at history at your local college, even they'll say like we're limited, and a lot of our beliefs in history are founded more on political assertions to hold up ideals and ideas of a history that we share just for like political control than they are on like the reality of things. You know what I'm saying? We declare shit in the West and just believe it because we're in the West. Like we just do. American views of history are American views of history. And when you get into America, you get down to the zip code different views of history, depending on like what school you go to and how your dad talks about whatever the fuck happened a few years back. That continues on. All human beings are human beings is the one real true we can get back to. That continues into other places. There are parts in the areas in the Balkans that you don't talk a lot about. All of the USSR's smaller little areas north of fucking Afghanistan and shit. Afghanistan itself, they've probably got people that would tell you like, no. Like this one like cultural thing has been ongoing for, 9,000. We have 9,000 years of direct history in this one town because of like reasons and shit. Or like we don't think that fell because we don't consider that a victory or a loss or something. We don't see the ascension of this person as being the actual ascension of that person. We think that it was his son who survived in exile. And so blah, 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 blah. This is the actual truth of things. We don't consider the British occupation of like this specific little area to actually have been a diminishment of the empire, and the empire continues. Sometimes they're just lying. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's the truth. Sometimes we're just lying. Like history is way more complicated than I read a book and now I know things. Like it's insane. It's crazy. So to think that you have a certainty, that's the thing I think I want to teach anybody is doubt. If there's anything I can teach people from this program, it's doubt. Anyone that's certain about history is living in the Dunning-Kruger area of talking about it, because you just can't know. Because first off, you weren't there. And second off, like once you consider how we even put together historical records, you're just basically saying like these are a series of best guesses and assumptions based on things that we know. But like you'll get to it and people will say this thing is fact. All of everyone's based fact. Going back through 700 years of writing on a specific thing that happened, when you boil it down to the original source, it's fucking Herodotus, and he's like, I heard it from Jake from State Farm, Tremenicus from Attic, a good friend of my cousin's wife, had a dream where he recalled the fucking like sack of this fucking town kind of shit. Or I walked upon a hill and below me lay, roughly where I thought I had heard about it, the remains of a great battle where spears still jutted from the ground. Here I do believe was where this fucking culture and that culture clashed, and it was on this field that the prince of whatever like died. And you're like, okay, well that's our fucking primary source. And then you just go and like look in the tomb, and the tomb has on the wall, this year is the year 123 of the ox. Did in this year King Booger Tack perish from impacted bowel. He was hated by all and puked until his last. I have written this. My name is Scaraces. I am his scribe, and I hated him. You're like, okay, well, there's my two sources. Here's history. You know what I mean? Didn't we first hear of a Hyperborea from Herodotus? Probably. Literally, I was told it by some drunkard. And the funniest part to me was like the drunk guy was the only one that was right, you know?
And he was a French Orientalist of the 1960s. And Amaury de Riencourt.
What if we had Assassin's Creed tech to do gene memory or something? You still rely on memory. You know what I mean? Maybe if you could do time travel, sure. But even the gene memory stuff sounds like if it's like reliant on human memory, you know, how well do you recall truly like 10 years ago? You know what I'm saying? It's all fuzzy. You got to triangulate shit, and sometimes it's just like an assumption, you know.
Riencourt made a couple brilliant intellectual breakthroughs, where The Coming Caesars is about the comparison of the Greeks to the Europeans and the Americans to the Romans. And it's comparable to Oswald Spengler's civilizational cycles, but the comparison of classical and European civilization. And Amaury de Riencourt, he also wrote a brilliant book on India, and he wrote a brilliant book on China. And for people who want to understand those societies, the Amaury de Riencourts on both of those topics are, they're just incredibly brilliant. And it's hard to fundamentally understand those societies. He also wrote The Eye of Shiva, which was a book that had a big influence on making me religious. And The Eye of Shiva was comparing the results of ancient.
Here's the thing. If you think like Whatifalthist is a rarity, by the way, you've never been in academia. Somebody asked me this question. They're like, are you surprised that he got accepted into like, I don't know, like Brown? I think he got accepted into like a particularly good school or something. And I said, no, not at all. Because I've been in academia. It's not like academia is full of all of the people that are around you. Literally now. Like if you live in an apartment building and there's 100 people living in that apartment building, in different circumstances, every single one of those people could be a tenured professor. I'm not kidding you. I literally no tenured professor will disagree with me except for the one that fucking sucks. They're just human beings. Some of them are rich. Some of them are bored. Some of them are actually highly dedicated to their skills. Some of them just accidentally get their jobs because of reasons. Like academia is not only just you're there because you're smart and hardworking and like dedicated to the subject that you're a part of. Sometimes it's just like, I don't know, man. The dice rolled weird, and now I am in charge of engineering, and I don't have an engineering degree. Maybe you're really good at it. It's crazy. I have had professors that sound like this guy. They sound like him. They just talk like him. Maybe he's like exceptionally dumb. But just understand, there are people that are like him. If you talk to enough people that are in history programs, especially, there's guys like this dude who are old as fuck and just talk confidently enough. They sound like Vosh. This is the book, and you'll hear shit like, the one that set me off is, and I read this book, and it's really what made me become religious. You'll run into it, I swear to God. Demystify for yourself education, and you will be able to approach it much more easily because it's not magic. You have it within you more than likely. None of a great deal of the people that are at the highest levels of academia are profoundly unextraordinary minds. It just happens to be the case. There's also some of the best people are represented by it, but that is the case with, if you take 100 auto mechanics and you take 100 heads of history departments and sit them all in a room together and then like strip them of ornamentation and have conversations with them about not history and not auto mechanics shit, you will be hard pressed to tell the difference after a lot of talking who does what. If you were trying to base it on raw intellect, you'll find like a baffling amount of cross sections because people just aren't that extraordinary, that we're all so much better than each other. Just understand that the reason he is having a lot of these books, this is the point I'm really trying to make. The reason a lot of these books appeal to him, especially the ones from back then, is because especially back then when the English school, however you call that, you're supposed to refer to it, but the English version of the college system, Oxford, Cambridge, all that shit, was full of the inbred children of unextraordinary descendants of one-time warlords who were still conquered by the king. That's who became the people that got to go to college. Not the smartest, not the best, not the most intelligent. And that tradition is kept up. And some people like enjoy it as a hobby, and so they continue on in one of the easiest fields to get ahead in, which is history, because sometimes you become the head historian of an entire country, not because you know anything about the past, but because when you tell a story to the king goes, oh, I like that a whole lot better than the guy that was reading that rock. I fucking hate that guy that was reading the rock. Have you talked to the rock reader? You know, he tried to tell me that the Greeks fucked each other, dude. They were dudes fucking each other. He read a rock. He found that out. I fucking hate that guy. I hate him too, Your Majesty. He's a piece of. I'm gonna fucking burn him. You're gonna burn him. I'm burning the fucking rock reading guy. Yeah, I'm gonna burn him. Yeah, I'm gonna burn him. Tell me again about how my great granddad fought a dragon. He did, Your Honor, Your Majesty. He killed a dragon out in the hills north of the Scottish village of Johnstown. He slew a dragon. The bones are still there. They are? Well, they look like rocks. They would. I think they would look like rocks. Big rocks? It was a very big dragon, sir. Big rock. I like that. There's nothing written on him, right? No, sir. Not a thing. Not a thing written on him. Because you know I'm burning the rock guy. Yes, sir. The rock reading, he's getting fucking, the second I find him. Bring me the rock guy. We're burning him. That's the tradition of intellect that fucking history departments were built on, and why there's a different vibe, so to say, as you go in, because we brought that whole culture over here. And so all the people that got to go to school and write history books and learn it were like 50% the children of and actual slave owners, if not considerably more. So when they wrote history, they were like, you know, I don't know. I feel like I could see this from a lens of like, if you don't fucking subjugate black people and whip them like fucking daily, they will just overthrow you. Because I feel like that constantly happens to us. And I feel like that probably had to happen in Rome, right? Because they're closer to like the black people place. So we should probably put that in books, right? And like, that's how you fucking build shit. In there, mixed in, is people who are like, I found a fucking rock. I was like, remember we were talking about Egypt? Right? I just went there. Isn't it crazy? I know we keep talking about it and we've got all these books. I just went there and the thing we thought was it's not there. And I asked the people, it was hard because I don't fucking talk their goofy ass fucking language. I asked them through an interpreter and they told me the rock. Remember the rock the guy got burned for in like fucking 16? That rock's in a different city. It's not even in fucking Egypt. It's in Greece. And everyone goes there and asks, and they're like, where's the rock? And they're all like, yeah, that rock's in fucking Greece. But it has Egyptian on it, but not like their kind. Like I asked the guy to translate, and he was like, I have no fucking idea what that means because he speaks like Arabic. I didn't even know that was the case. So I went to fucking Greece and saw the burn guy's rock. Dude, it's got fucking Greek on it, and then the old Greek that we know. I fucking looked at it all. Dude, it's a trade document. It just says like all of these things. Like we know how to fucking speak Egyptian now. It's actually not. It's like super easy. I mixed that into the Rosetta Stone, but that's not how the Rosetta Stone was made. Don't worry about it. I mixed like 15 things up. About 8 of them were fake. But like that's how history. And then he comes back. He's like, guys, did you know that we can do this? And they're like, all right, cool. Let's go dig up all the mummies and fucking grind them up into powder and snort them. Like fucking. History Department of Cambridge, buddy. Oh my god, writing books on like, hey man, what's the best way to fucking get like a prince high on mummy dust? And they're like, oh, I got some opinions, buddy. So going back to it, Whatifalthist just basically only reads books that agree and reinforce his worldview. Yeah, and you find more of them back then because that was the point of it. Like history. Once upon a time, history, especially the further you get away from current day, stops being egalitarian and actually democratized in a true sense of the earth gets to write the history books into like basically just cultural solipsism and just ideation of a better world and stuff. That's why you keep finding the same stories again and again of like, oh, it's the unwhipped youth and indolent, effete scholarliness and a lack of like martial prowess that is undoing the country and the culture again and again and again and again, you know?
Hinduism to modern science. And he talked about how he thought Hinduism resulted in the development of modern science. No, sorry, Hinduism was able to reach implicitly similar conclusions to modern science through a different method of intellectual discovery we have not yet discovered. And what I think is fascinating is that we, as I said before, we view intellectual development as something that happened. It's teleological, and what teleological means is that every level of development in what happens is what has to have happened, and so you have. We think that modern science is a rational conclusion, but the reality is it's built upon implicit assumptions in Christianity or previous parts of the Western logical tradition. And I think there are completely new fields of thought that we haven't yet discovered. And so for my video on the spirit world, you guys might have.
I don't know how he gets to that conclusion. No, I do. This is just the same thing I've been saying again and again and again. He's got a preconception that there should be intuitive understandings of the world. And when he refuses to accept the possibility that the amoral things in his, when he comes across like science and shit that like comes, but it counteracts shit, it has to be wrong. And so there has to be entirely new fields that actually justify this. He's talking about development of pseudoscience. He's talking about the development of, this is awesome. This is actually just going, this is how fucking like bad English, bad Northern European education and history fucked the education system throughout the entire world, everywhere they planted their flags for hundreds of years. It's this same shit. He is trying to reconcile his dislike of science and its conclusions with his own inaccurate and spalling off conclusions and saying there has to be fields of study that prove this. They are. Yeah. There already exist, right? It's phrenology, it's bloodletting, it's humors. Like all of those things already existed, but we got rid of them. That's fucking awesome. This is a fucking ape person from like 1822 trying to recreate pseudoscience from scratch by refusing to read modern history. This is actually a miracle. This should be studied by anthropologists. That's fucking awesome. That's fucking awesome. I figured it out.
Where I believe that there are completely new paradigms. And so people would ask me, Rudyard, do you believe in aliens? And what I'd say is, I have no idea, because the level of comprehension we would have to understand aliens would be, could you explain to the ancient Babylonians how electricity worked? And the ancient Babylonians didn't have the concept of machines or natural law.
Is he crazy? But did he do that on purpose? Because it's the Babylon battery. Is that what? Did he do that on purpose? Hold on. Baghdad battery. Yeah. The Baghdad battery. I know it's Wikipedia, but like it'll just get you there. It's an encyclopedia entry. This is the Baghdad battery. It was just a galvanic cell. Yeah. So basically, like, you could use this to create small electrical charges to do something with. I don't know if they figured out what it did, but yeah, there's other ones that like existed back then that you could get shit out. Origin and purpose, remember, unclear. Speculated that they were electroplated. The more important is electroplating gold onto silver ashes. So yeah, they just figured out a little technique. They made a battery. They did. They didn't articulate the concept of batteries the way that we did, i.e. putting them in your Nintendo Switch so that you have something to play. Does Nintendo Switch take batteries? Your Game Boy Color, putting them in your Game Boy Color so that you don't have to talk to people on the road trip. But like generating electricity from fucking acid bathing metals and electrolyte, whatever the fuck, spinning things. That is something that they had. They just had it. We just didn't even know to look for it because we didn't have batteries because we lost so much technology. And we're talking about different cultures that don't have the same language and shit. So like we don't have an oral tradition extending from Baghdad into, North London, like cleanly at the development point of the batteries, where someone's like, oh no, like they had those. That's how they electroplated shit. Or like, they just try, like, uranium's always been around. Ancient people knew about uranium and glowing uranium and how to stay away from radiation pits because those just existed. They'd be like, wow, there's an area over there that will literally boil your skin from your body with like strange humors that emanate from the fucking hole in the ground. It's awesome. Like that's wild. The Baghdad battery has been debunked beyond its ability to do electrolysis. You said that wrong. It's been debunked completely. No. It was not a battery at all. It was a votive container. Oh, that's so sad. Depressing. I wish it was real.
I have no idea how the universe works. No idea if aliens exist. Because I think we don't even know the question.
It's not an actual battery? That's depressing. Questions
to ask.
The ancients did not know about uranium and radiation. No, but it was just there. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they were like, that's specifically this heavy element. No, wait, do you have to make uranium? But there was just shit in the ground, right? Am I crazy now? Uranium mine. You mine uranium. Uranium mines. In India, conventional mines, open pit, and C2 leach. In practice, dust is the main source of radiation exposure in an open-cut uranium mine and in the mill area. Radiation exposure to mine plants and tailings area is limited. In practice, radiation levels from the ore and tailings are usually very low. Interesting. Why do I think this? Do uranium miners get radiation poisoning? Groundwater contamination. Some sites have considerable groundwater contamination. Underground mines can present a radiation hazard to miners. What is... Ooh, maybe that's what it is. What do you call that in mine? If there's anyone in mining, when you have something like... it's called like co-tailing or something. When you have a mine, almost every mine has a series of minerals that develop in tandem. So you'll have like one mine has like copper usually has silver around it or something like that, or like gold often has platinum near it in smaller amounts. What is that called? What else is in a uranium mine? Okay, uranium can be discovered as a byproduct along with other co-products such as molybdenum, vanadium, nickel, zinc, and petroleum products. Uranium is also often found in phosphate minerals where it has to be removed because phosphate is mostly used for quartz, carbonate, fluorite, and pitch blende. So I'm probably wrong about this. Why do I think that that's the case? I have no idea where I got... This is one of the preconceptions. I'm glad... This is why I say stupid shit out loud, because I can fucking... If you guys call me on it, I'll double check. There is a place in Australia that Aborigines knew was dangerous because there was a major uranium deposit. I guess, yeah, if it gets fucking... Kobolds and goblins were actually from Germans coming into contact with cobalt. It's where the metal gets its name from because caves with goblins, kobolds are just toxic cobalt veins. Uranium decays to lead, so maybe what they were doing... Apparently the Baghdad battery is probably a curse jar. It would be cool if you tried to make it into that and then like you created a battery on accident. I think a good example of machinery is ancient drills. They used ruby dust and other strong particulates to grind against stone. That is dope. Silicosis, you can mine uranium, but you have to enrich it to really use this stuff. Plutonium we make. You definitely mine uranium. We do it in Canada. Uranium fever has really got me down. Radiation pits to stay away from? No. So what is it? Is it I know there's toxic. I might be mixing stuff up. Cobalt. Toxic. Cobalt may cause an asthma-like allergy. Further exposure can cause asthma attacks with shortness of breath, wheezing, cough, and or chest tightness. Cobalt may affect the heart, thyroid, liver, and kidneys. Ooh, maybe I'm mixing stuff up, and it is cobalt mining. What's in a cobalt mine? Interesting. Cobalt, uranium, and other metals. Okay. I bet that's what it was. So these things would just kill the shit out of people. Copper and nickel. That's why. Okay. So it was just poisonous shit that was coming out with like copper and nickel mining. Because copper and nickel are things that you actually would be using back in the day. Even inert uranium is still toxic. But there also is just open holes that will just fucking kill you. Because they have bad gas in them. That's just a thing. Like, if you have heavy, if you guys don't know this, if you guys don't if you guys don't live around caves, all of Kentucky is full of fucking caves because we got limestone ground, so there's gigantic caves here, and there are cave systems, not necessarily every time, but basically like the earth will shift or we did mining or something, and there's gas trapped inside the earth's crust. It might be heavier than the rock, so the rock collapses and the gas goes up like this, but the gas is light or heavier than like nitrogen in standard air. And because there's nothing to blow it or like disperse it, it will sit in the mouth of the cave. And so there can be caves that are full of like clear, uninterrupted gas, and you walk in, you just die. Like, because it's like you go in, if you're taking a breath, you just take a breath of no oxygen and immediately go into shock and die. Radon gas is always a problem, but radon takes fucking forever, right? President Sunday joining to double team. Is President Sunday in here making fun of me? I think they're often called co-occurring deposits. Probably something like that. I don't know. Canary in the coal mines is where that phrase comes from. Oh yeah, we got that here.
Ask in those departments. And so I think you could have complete intellectual trajectories that don't exist inside our current paradigm, and thus
see you later, Somnute. I used my Baghdad battery to power my Game Gear growing up. Oh no, I'm so sad. I wish the Baghdad battery was real.
We haven't developed them. Peter Turchin's great. We've talked a lot about him before. He makes the computer models that try to figure out when countries have revolutions.
I always was lightly suspicious of it because I was like, why didn't they make more? Because you would think like it was useful, but also maybe it was like it would break. And they didn't talk about it. I guess I should have been way more suspicious about that.
Azar-Gat, this is my favorite history book ever, and it's a history of humanity through the lens of war. And so Azar-Gat explains human civilization, and he explains how war evolved in the human condition. He also explains various historic processes through war, why the West rose to dominance, why the East developed these giant empires that decayed over the last 1,000 years, why America became a global power. If you want to understand how I see the world, I'd recommend reading War and Human Civilization by Azar-Gat.
Also, what is this? Molybdenum? It's not molybdenum. 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 They're minerals, Marie. Molybdenum. Oh, that's bullshit.
Molybdenum. Molybdenum.
American pronunciation. Oh, British.
Molybdenum.
Molybdenum. How did the British one took the fucking spice out of it?
Amory de Rayancourt, this is my favorite book of his, and it's how the relations between men and women have changed the course of history. Yeah, so this is Tragedy and Hope, and this book is great, and I went on that whole rant because someone asked me about this book. And this book is the civilizational history of the 20th century. And I think to understand our history, we need to comprehend it through the broad perspective of the human condition.
Baghdad battery sounds like some sort of ID.
And that's what this book does. And so he talks about the trends of the 20th century, what it means. And this is one of the most profound books I've read on a bunch of different levels. And it's a pretty thick book. It covers a lot of different concepts. But the tragedy was the collapse of, first of all, the world wars for obvious reasons.
Here we go.
But the collapse of freedom. And all of those authors, they're running around World War II. They agreed that the greatest tragedy of the 20th century was the collapse in freedom, which occurred due to the rise of the managerial revolution with government bureaucracies. And they all predicted the managerial revolution would break down freedom and would break down ideas of individual agency. And they also, the managerial class would cut down the creatives out of envy. I think that's fundamentally what's happened in the real world. So
I don't even know how you prove that or what that's connected to. That's just words. Because like who are we talking about? Because I mean, if you're talking about the world before World War II was way less, way less free. I mean, Jesus Christ, even them writing in World War I, like, not a lot of people could say no to those drafts. I don't think there's a big concern about the managerial class if you were getting sent to fucking Ardennes. You know what I mean? If you survived the Somme, you weren't like, one day there's gonna be a managerial class. So like, there already was, and they told me I had to fucking run from one hole to another hole through barbed wire and bullets. Like, what the fuck are you? Who is that for? Is that just a statement toward like the already existing aristocracy? Like, they would eventually have to get jobs, and so you wouldn't be able to be indolent and spend your time on art and fancy. That sounds more like it is, because it's not talking about the normal people. Normal human beings before like 1940, pretty much worldwide, were still desperately subsistence farming, like everywhere. Like, that's just 20 years ahead of when America had its worst subsistence farming crisis to date, which is also, by the way, the biggest tragedy in America. The biggest tragedy of the 19th century up until World War I would definitely be the fucking Great Depression. I think unreservedly the Dust Bowl and the failure of tillage farming would be a bigger issue, I think, than the existence of a managerial class overpowering the artists. It's madness. And also just, it takes into account nothing about the art revolutions of the 60s and 70s and the democratization of music, thanks to the development of like the electric guitar and multi-track recording. It is just an ignorant thing to say. Who gives a fuck?
That was fun. I'm not going to be here for much longer. Ask me some questions, bro. Whenever I say that, so I am Christian. One of the questions said, "You said you're Christian, but you don't seem to believe. You seem to believe in God as an idea." I'm Christian. I believe that God is an actual physical force that acts in the world. But in my channel, my personal views are not what I say on the channel. I mean, nothing I say on the channel is stuff I don't believe, but I am privately more religious than I am on the channel, because the purpose of my channel is to logically explain things. And so I'm here to explain anthropology, and so I explain why religious people believe the things they do in terms agnostics or atheists would understand.
I'm so tired. I'm listening to this entire thing because I don't want to talk about anything else.
This is fun.
This is fun.
Y'all are degenerates.
What is this? What's going on in this chat? Is it a live chat?
So my favorite video game of all time, I think Warhammer Total War is pretty dope. I loved Rise of Nations growing up. Rise of Nations is a combination of Civilization and Age of Empires, where you do base building and you control a nation over its entire history. And yeah, I'm going to be going at the 20-minute mark. Your questions are going too fast for me to read them. I'm just going to say random stuff. What do I have around my house?
My man doesn't know that you can scroll chat to pause. He just has to touch the computer. How in the fuck can one man know so little? That is crazy. I understand I have misconceptions. I'm wrong about shit, but I try to get it down. I try to get back to it. My man doesn't know that you can scroll chat to pause.
So this is an Afghan battle knife. I keep it at my desk. It's pretty cool.
If you're not watching with your fucking eyeballs, he just pulled out like a 2-foot long fucking knife. He has the flippiest, floppiest fucking hands. Like, literally, he moves like a guy that's never held anything for work. Like this dude, I would die to watch. I would pay thousands of dollars maybe if I had them laying around just to try to get to see him use a hammer and just watch him try to hammer in a nail. Fucking awesome. But this is insanity. The funniest part is he's not using his thumb for some reason to grip this gigantic fuck off knife he has. What the fuck? Oh my god.
I mean, I don't know why a man wouldn't keep a giant knife at his desk. I collect skulls too. This is a Mexican skull.
True phrenologist. He's got skulls and knives at the ready. My man, do you have a caliper collection? Like, yeah, thanks for the 10 Canadian, bud. In the past, he'd be a shaman, but today he's just reactionary and a little autistic. I mean. Wait, yeah, if you're fucking Latino and you're listening, like, what? It's not the skull of a Mexican. It's a sugar skull. That should go without saying, but he did say, like, he just got some Mexican guy's fucking cabeza out here, bro.
Skull. When I lived in Mexico, I bought this. I've
Mi
nearly
escuela.
died 4 times.
That's a school. Fuck, I can't remember that
house,
skeleton.
so that I'm grateful that I'm still alive. And I'm purposely putting out weird and schizo stuff because I'm just filling time here. So I've been through a lot of different things in my life, and so I always tell myself when I'm in a good place, which I am now, and the reason I'm going on all this adventure is because I just need the YOLO. So
I just need the YOLO. How the greatest blow struck against Drake has nothing to do, not a fucking thing to do with anything Kendrick Lamar said, any accusations, any impending lawsuit, none of it. The greatest blow to Drake in the history of Drake is Whatifalthist saying, I just need the YOLO. You only live once, that's the motto, baby, YOLO.
Oh, I always tell myself when I'm in a good place to be grateful for having what I have, because the thing I dislike the most about modernity is the lack of gratitude for just, and this is a video I've wanted to make for the longest time, but I don't think
this is a video I put. Okay, so he means the lack of gratitude. I thought he was like, you just said you were gonna say random shit, bro.
It would do well financially is things to be grateful for in modernity. So I'm grateful for the ability to fly to France in 10 hours. I'm grateful for having not, I live in Texas now. I'm grateful. There's a great book called Mosquito Empires, which talks about how the entirety of the South was nigh uninhabitable for white people in
My man's got access to such esoteric racist shit that, like, I'm actually jealous.
having not, I live in Texas now. I'm grateful. There's a great book called
God.
Mosquito Empires, which talks about how the entirety of the South was nigh uninhabitable for white people in the pre-industrial era. If you were in Texas, you had to worry about malaria. That's not true anymore. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for having a clean food supply or being able to buy.
What? Maybe that's true. I don't know, but that wouldn't go away. Just wouldn't go away. They still have malarial mosquitoes all throughout the South. I know it's obviously just about mosquitoes and shit, which still they threw bodies at the goddamn Panama Canal, you know? But, like, holy fuck, a part of me just believed maybe somewhere deep in my heart that he was gonna say, like, white conquest of South America was halted because of the lack of sunscreen lotion. It wasn't until SPF 65 was developed in the 1940s by German scientists that whites could actually start traveling that close to the equator. Finally, once the sun god's wrath had been taken from us and we no longer needed to fear the Aztecs' greatest strength, all of Latin America was spread right open for the taking. Oh my god. Dude, there's mosquitoes everywhere. I don't know why they would have malarial mosquitoes all over the place. The worst mosquitoes in America, I swear to God, are in fucking North Dakota. I've been in the swamps, fucking not the swamps, but swampy ass coastal fucking North and South Carolina. I thought the mosquitoes there were bad, but the mosquitoes in fucking North Dakota are so fucking miserable that the goddamn army has to fly planes full of pesticide over to make the area habitable.
Being able to buy food in the winter. This is more of a stoic skull. I've got a couple others, but I'm going to get going soon. Cool. Well, okay, this has been fun. I'm going to get going. I might do this at another time. Peace.
Thanks, Whatifalthist. That was awesome. I loved every second of that, and I enjoyed all of it. I meant to do other stuff today. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I'm dying. That was the fun, dude. He needs to live stream exclusively because that was fucking hilarious. That was crazy. I don't even know what to say. 20 minutes of uninterrupted, just direct Whatifalthist exposure was fire. I'm gonna die. I learned so much by wondering what the fuck I would like. I learned more from my chat. I learned more from my chat than I did from Whatifalthist.